confusing, man. Yeah, I'm sure the whole world felt that, and but yeah, as a new Christian, I think there was a lot of. Uh, for me, I remember my mental health.
Welcome to another episode where we answer the question, who is your neighbor? And we ask, what is your story? And now, your host, LJ.
Confusing, man. Yeah, I'm sure the whole world felt that, and but yeah, as a new Christian, I think there was a lot of. For me, I remember my mental health.
Get into a little bit. So, tell me a little about yourself and your background. Who is DeAngelo?
Who is DeAngelo? Yeah,
Is that your name?
That's my name.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I am 22 years old. Currently, I'm in my last year of college studying for an exercise science degree. And so I'll be graduating in May, hopefully. I'm just gotta pass the classes. But right now, I'm a Christian. I think that's at the, as far as who I am. I was thinking about identity. Actually, a friend of mine was talking about, reminding me about what our identity is as a Christian is. It's not the things that we do or the places we've been, but it's who Jesus is. When you become a Christian, he becomes your identity. So I put that first for sure, that I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus, and I've been in a relationship with him for, man, it was November of 2019, so it's been 4 years, a little over 4 years now. And
wow.
Yeah.
Not so much wow that, but the timing of it. We're just going to the COVID was just starting and pandemic and stuff, and
yeah,
there must have been kind of a first look on or that I'm a Christian now, and this is the scary things coming up and how to deal with it as a Christian, and it's kind of to be challenging for a new Christian. And and then you might start even questioning yourself. So, yeah.
Fertile ground for growth, I think, is those challenging times. But it was so confusing, man. Yeah, I'm sure the whole world felt that, but yeah, as a new Christian, I think there was a lot of. For me, I remember my mental health being really up and down in that time. And I mean, COVID probably was a big factor, but also my newfound faith and all those questions and doubts that come up with that. But through that, I think it's even cooler to see that God has brought me through that, and He's helped me to continue to fall more in love with Him. So I think that was a perfect time that he chose to draw me in.
Right.
He knew what was best.
Yeah, he knew what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
what was your worldview before becoming a Christian?
Oh yeah, I would say I had a Christian worldview because I guess the long-term backstory is I grew up in a Christian home. My mom, I was raised with a single mom, and my mom is a Christian ever since I was probably 8 years old. And so I would go to church, and I was surrounded by at least on Sundays, I was surrounded by Christian teaching and all that influence. But during the week, I was more so influenced by social media and the current trends, and I was always trying to be hip. So I would know the newest trends and the newest memes, and I really used to like to do all the dances. Like there's all these dance challenges, and I kind of missed that I stopped dancing, but anyways, yeah. So I was always up on like what the world was looking at, and even though I claimed to be a Christian, it was actually just like something that was way back in the back burner, and that's actually not what Christianity is. It's not I'm gonna put this as a piece of my life, but it's your entire life is identified with Jesus, and now you serve him. It's not you serve yourself, and then he is a part of that. And so yeah, I didn't really get that balance, and no one had called me out on it, at least as far as I remember. But right before I was a Christian, I was really open to a lot of worldviews, and I think that was really what caused me to search after what was really true, because I saw that there were so many worldviews, and I was influenced by a lot of different things, like Mormonism, or even some of the New Age ways of thinking, where there's like manifestation and just kind of becoming your best self. There's a lot of that. And I think to me, I kind of had the personality of I like to level up. I played a lot of video games growing up, and all those role-playing games where you just make your character better and better and better. And I kind of saw that as my life journey, I guess you could say. But that only leads to disappointment and kind of shame, because you realize that, I'm never going to be that video game character, because life just doesn't work that way. And I see these people that are at the top that, hey, they made it, but then they have these, like their personal life is actually terrible. And so it's like, that's not where it's at. And so I turned to looking into God, and I'm so thankful that I did. And he guided me through all the things that were misinformation about God. And I came to a Bible study, and I realized this stuff is powerful, and this is actually who God is. And I just wanted to learn about him. And so, yeah, I started to build up my Christian worldview from that way.
Yeah, I can kind of relate to that. When I was younger and stuff, and it might be just me or something, but my understanding of Christians before 2000, to me, basically, I believed in God and stuff. I think he revealed himself to me early when I was a kid and stuff, but I just thought of him as God in heaven, which he is, but he's just up there, and then we just live life, and so I never had a real personal relationship with him, and kind of never got what I call rooted into the church, and rooted in God and Jesus and stuff, and have I don't think the relationship term was used very much back then in the 80s and 90s.
Even among Christians?
Yeah, I wouldn't say widely, I just,
okay.
At least in my circles, I don't really recall much of that,
Sure.
And of course, as a young adult, I really fell away from the Lord and stuff, I still believed in God and stuff like that, but just living life, and so I don't want to get too much into my testimony now, but because this is more about you.
Okay.
But yeah,
sure.
it's a it was in the 2000s when I came back to the Lord and stuff, and started hearing about the just more of the relational impact, or being more of a relationship with Jesus and stuff, and just kind of grounded me, and being part of the church, of doing things and being involved, and it just it grew more that way. It's always a process, and you're never going to be perfect about it.
Right.
But it's kind of dangerous to take sabbaticals, and just.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, just it's like I wouldn't lose my salvation if I stopped going to church and just started doing my own things, and so farther I get away from God, it's just kind of not as beneficial for me and stuff,
Okay.
You're kind of driving a wedge, and which this will probably bring me to the next question for you, but so when I came back to the Lord and stuff, I got to, and this is the thing, I got to a point where I didn't think I could ever get to that point, is that I was embarrassed to go back to church. I thought I had to clean up my life before I go back to church. And God spoke to me and said, it's not your job to clean up yourself, that's my job, so go back to church.
Exactly.
And then I'm
so glad he said that.
And this, and so, just how far away from God I was. The pastor was preaching, and he was giving a sermon of the book of Amos, and so, well, Amos, who's this Amos? And I only know the cookies, And, And so, and for some reason, I didn't have a Bible with me, or it wasn't one around me. So I went home and I looked it up, and it was in the Bible, in the Old Testament. And the verse that got me, which just changed everything, it was Amos's 3:3. If two can't walk together unless they agreed, and just, I couldn't walk with Jesus if I didn't agree with Jesus, and Jesus can't walk with me if he doesn't agree with me either. And you don't have to be perfect or anything. You just gotta be like in the same ballpark, give God the same access to you, and just be, try and get on the same page, be in the same book, and then of course, then Paul says, work out your salvation, and meaning, just reflecting on yourself, and not that you're saved or not. I even went through that process of one Easter morning, I to go, okay, how can I stop being a Christian? And
how can I start being a Christian?
Stop being a Christian. Being a Christian.
Yeah.
How do I give up God and stuff like that? And it's like, it's like denying that there's a sun outside. It's like I would have to. It wouldn't. To me, it wouldn't be logical at any point of denying what I already know. So I could go and not, spending time with God. I could go and do things that would be beneficial in my life, and I could do whatever I want. But I can't not believe there's not a God. Because he already revealed himself to me, and so it was just
it's beautiful,
more of a thought experiment. It wasn't that I was trying to question God or anything. I was just thinking about it. It's like, how can I just stop being a Christian and stop believing? I don't know how to stop being.
Right. Kind of like how could I even not how, just what are the steps to do this, but
But
Yeah,
so
I get that.
And
Huh.
I know that it's kind of popular nowadays. It's called deconstruction of, and
Yeah, very.
it's really a false or fallacy of the process they go through doing that. It's, they're not even being honest with themselves when they do that stuff. So, and that's where that's the whole problem with the world right now is we're in this postmodern philosophical belief of deconstructing everything, and it's like it's deciding what it's your interpretation of what a book meant, or a painting, or a thing. It's based on what you think it means, not what the author intended to mean, or the artist intended to. There are some paintings out there that's kind of hard to understand, but
sure,
and then you could kind of interpret it for yourself. But now that's where we get the it's my truth and stuff, and so that's that's what deconstruction is you determine what is believable or not believable,
right.
And it's
I hear that a lot.
But
I hear
that a lot.
This is my truth type of thing a lot, especially in college and on social media. And I definitely went through a period of what you could call deconstruction. And but I think there was someone a really popular she thinks she's an author, she makes YouTube videos. Her name is Elisa Childers.
Right.
But I got to hear her speak, and she said people use deconstruction in two different definitions, with one being actually an honest and biblically faithful look at what you really believe. Because I was raised in the church, and I'd heard these things, and I had these beliefs built up that I didn't really have I didn't know why things were the way they were. And so I think a faithful deconstruction would be I'm taking these things that I know apart to look at why they are that way, and basing it off of God's word. And I wish I would have done that earlier, but then there's the other deconstruction where it's like you said, I'm taking these things that I disagree with, that I believe, that I used to believe, that I now don't feel so great about because of my fluctuating feelings or whatever the culture is saying. And now I'm taking those and I'm saying, I don't think that he meant it that way, or like you're casting your own interpretation that isn't biblical onto something, and it's super misleading. And I don't know how anybody could feel comfortable with a God that abides by your rules, by your feelings, because my feelings change so much. My feelings are so unpredictable and unreliable. And so I definitely am, like, when I think, what do I feel about the way that this says, like what this is in the Bible, I gotta catch myself and say, hey, that doesn't matter, because it's what God intends, it's what God thinks about it. So I definitely feel for the people that are deconstructing out there, though. It's a tough thing.
And it's a problem when it becomes a trend. That's the thing. And the worst my truth I ever heard was from a college student that didn't believe in absolute truth, and his major was a engineer.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't want to drive across that bridge.
Yeah, you're gonna be building bridges, and he said, well, it might hold you up, or it might not. I can't tell you this for sure.
You can only decide if it's going to hold you.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
my grammar's not the greatest and stuff, and so I don't always know my verbs from my noun. Well, I kind of know my nouns, but my verbs and adverbs and stuff really are. I have no idea half the time. But anyway, the word believe and also faith are both action words when it's especially stated in the Bible, and you don't believe as in I just believe this in my head and believe this thought. You take action upon that belief. You just you don't let it just sit in your mind. So if you really believe, you will take action upon it, and it's our and I was part of prison ministry, and one of the things I would explain what having faith in God and believing in God is that we had these the cheap plastic patio chairs that are real clumsy. And so I would use that as a demonstration. This is what faith is, is that I have to believe that plastic chair is going to hold me, and as a fat guy, that's it's really hard to trust that the chair is going to hold me.
It's a lot of faith.
Yeah, it's a lot of faith, but a regular chair is I have more faith in a regular chair, etc. It's like, so I know God's going to do what He says He's going to do. It's the same as yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So I put my faith in Him and trust Him and act upon what He has already done.
Right.
Where it's just, but I can't have faith in it. I could believe in the chair. What good is to believe in a chair if it's not going to hold me up? And that's if I don't sit in that chair. That's the action part, is to sit in that chair. Not so much how it's constructed. It's like, yeah, sure, that chair, holds people or whatever. Yeah, it's not for me. Unfortunately, with arthritis, a lot of chairs are like that for me now. But just. But anyway,
Yep.
And so, which kind of leads me back to. So, do you have a life verse that you just kind of use it for like all situations, or just remind you where you're at, or what? Just
what comes to I think what comes to mind, that has been coming to mind a lot, is John chapter 15. It's verse 5, I believe it says. It's Jesus speaking to His disciples, and He says, "I am the vine, and you are the branches. Abide in me, and I in you, and you will bear much fruit, because without me, you can do nothing." And so I like that verse because when I think a couple years into being a Christian, I wanted to go on this mission trip to Mexico, in Tijuana. And while we were there, the program we were a part of was called Vástagos, which means branches in Spanish. And that was our mission verse. That was our verse for the whole program. And I had it on the back of my shirt, and so that really stood out to me. I could kind of see how there's all these things that are going on in life, and I love to be a part of the fruitful ministry, the things that are happening that's just producing joy, and you see so much hope and freedom in people who are encountering Jesus or worshiping Jesus. And I love to be a part of that, and I want to be that branch that's connected to that vine where all that life is. And he tells me to remain, or abide means to remain as well. That's another word for it. And so I want to abide and remain in Jesus, keeping in a close relationship with Jesus, and He will with me. He says, "Abide in me, and I in you." and then you will bear much fruit. So I'll be a part of all that fruit and the good things that are being produced through Jesus. And then the last part is a warning, or kind of like a reality check. It says, for without me, you can do nothing. And it's not like I can do a little bit over here in the corner. Maybe I can keep my status quo without Jesus sometimes, but it's actually nothing at all. So
Right.
that verse encourages me. It also warns me about trying to do things in my own strength, because it's not going to end up well.
Yeah, that's where we get a lot of the being burnt out and things, because we're just doing it because we want to do it. And I mean, there's the difference between trying new things that you're not sure about, and versus saying this is for me, and then you just get burnt out because you're doing it under your own strength and not God's. And it's okay to try out new things, and especially ministries and stuff. Then you just consistently examine that with yourself and pray about that. Is this what God wants from me? Because it's harder to just pray about something you have no idea what it looks like, or feels like, and maybe there's some stuff that's just a no-go for you, and
right.
And I can tell you that one pastors and stuff, a lot of people look at the pastors and they say, oh, it'd be great to be up there and giving a sermon and all that stuff. But or being a pastor of the church, but there's a super dark side to being a pastor of the stuff that they have to deal with, and that's not for everyone. All kinds of just dark things they have to deal with people and stuff. So it's not. So sometimes it's glamorized, but if you're not called to do something, you're not called. You shouldn't be going. But if you want to be a missionary, you could pray about it and think being a missionary is a great idea, and just dive in head first. And sometimes that works out, but in other times it's like, well, go on a short term, and see if this is kind of a lifestyle for me, and that it's determining between a grandiose idea and a reality. Everything seems so much better when it's in our heads. Until
it
you
does.
Try it.
Yeah. So do you have an example of a time when you thought you were going to do this thing for God and ended up that was not what he wanted you to do?
Probably the biggest one, I mean, nothing disastrous, but I think actually it was, I don't know, really, I think counting money maybe it was, the counting offering and stuff, and I don't know, I was kind of just trying that out too as well. It's kind of the way I approach things a lot of times. I think the missionary stuff, I'm better suited for the short-term stuff versus the long-term. Well, I mean, health-wise, I'm probably better suited on the short-term stuff, and and it seems like that's the way things that work out is working out for me. I've been to Mexico a lot of times, and it's like I wouldn't have too much problems even living in some of the homes that there are there and stuff like that. That wouldn't bother me and stuff. But but I think that I right now would need too much medical attention and stuff, so it's not a good fit.
Okay.
And like I said earlier, I was trying to, I was hoping to just go on a short-term trip to Burma in Thailand,
Yeah.
and see what that's all about. And right when I was getting close to committing to that, just my health fell out. My health got really bad, and so I couldn't go. And
How do
I
you
think
see
the other-
those? How do you see those things now? Is that something that you have a piece about, or do you kind of regret that happened?
I'm at peace with it and stuff, you know.
Okay.
And I understand, you know, because I couldn't go do that and be a liability to the group, you know. So
Yeah.
I had to be 100% sure. And I don't know if you know Pastor Rick or not, or
Yeah.
he I know he's talked about a lot in church and stuff, but and him back at the time, and a couple of other guys at church, you know, if I could prove to them my fitness level, my health, that they probably would support the idea of it. And right when I was getting ready to be able to do that, and my health, you know, took a turn. So
Oh, man.
and
Yeah.
and it's not really the
Yeah.
first time that's happened to me. I was playing. I wasn't doing this for God or anything, and I wasn't really following God at the time and stuff. And I wanted to be a bodyguard, or and I was I have a military background, and I have like a lot of experience and stuff in that field, training wise and stuff, and some work experience, and I was getting deeper into it. And this was in 2000, and so I was going to make some drastic moves, get some more specialized training overseas and stuff, and my back went out on me, and it just I couldn't do anything, and
Dang.
and
That takes you out.
it took me out. And just imagine on that career path and 9/11 happening. And so as I see, well, I look back on earlier that if I was still in good physical condition and stuff, I would not be anything. I wouldn't be around my parents at all, and I would just really be just out there in the world and doing my own thing and stuff. And my parents were getting older, and they're elderly and stuff, and they needed me at home with them, and I wouldn't have been there for them if I wasn't better health. I would, and especially after 9/11, I would have been gone for sure.
Yeah. Overseas in the country.
Overseas, and
Yeah.
just long-term stuff, and
Yeah.
just chasing the buck, and that's probably one of the biggest things is like put at ease and put to peace is money. You know, and I've always noticed that in my life, that I was on a path of get rich quick schemes, and not illegal schemes, but just anything to get rich quick, you know.
Yeah.
And
To make that dollar
realize
fast.
in 90% of the time, it would have to be through illegal means too.
Uh-huh.
And,
It says that, man.
Yeah.
I was reading in Proverbs. I don't know where it was, but basically it was a anti get rich quick scheme verse where it's like the person that's quick to riches is, doomed to downfall, something like that.
Right. Yeah. It's just it's those grandiose ideas and stuff. It sounds good in your head. It sounds good on paper, but in reality, it's hard work and stuff like that. And then it just then the verses in basically like in Ephesians 5 and Galatians, the being content, being thankful for what you have and stuff. And, and for a while I was really into, I guess because of my living situation and stuff, but I was pretty much a minimalist. And if I couldn't pack into my car, I didn't have it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now it's kind of opposite
nice.
now. Now I'll be in trouble. So let's move on here.
Sure.
Who's my neighbor? It's not necessarily the person next door. It could be, but here, let's listen to this. Listen to the story of the Good Samaritan.
Sure.
The Good Samaritan story, also known as Who's My Neighbor? A Jewish man was traveling from Jerusalem down to Jericho, and he was attacked by bandits. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him up, and left him half dead beside the road. By chance a priest came along. But when he saw the man lying there, he crossed to the other side of the road and passed him by. A temple assistant walked over and looked at him lying there, but he also passed by on the other side. Then a despised Samaritan came along, and when he saw the man, he felt compassion for him. Going over to him, the Samaritan soothed his wounds with olive oil and wine and bandaged them. Then he put the man on his own donkey and took him to an inn, where he took care of him. The next day he handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins, one telling him, "Take care of this man. If his bill runs higher than this, I'll pay you the next time I'm here." Now which of these 3 would you say was a neighbor to the man who was attacked by bandits? Jesus asked. The man replied, "The one who showed him mercy." Then Jesus said, "Yes, now go and do the same." Luke 10 verse 29.
And so the question is, who do you think your neighbor is?
My neighbor is every person that I get to interact with. I think it's there's no one that, I don't think anyone is excluded from that. If there's somebody that walks in this room right now, that they're my neighbor, and God asked me to love my neighbor, so I'm supposed to love that person. Or it's a little bit more hard to think of it, but even people across the world, I would say, are my neighbors if I have the chance to interact with them. And so I think it's both a people that are present around me thing, whether I like them or I don't like them, or whether I know them or I don't know them, or maybe even people that are far away that I probably will never see. They have a potential of being a neighbor. And I think it's a really deep question, because we have this command. Jesus says that one of the greatest commands is to love your neighbor, or do to others as you would have done to yourself. And there's a lot of people out there. We have a lot of neighbors. And so,
Right.
like, how do I love everybody as much as I love myself? So I think that looks different, and you only have so much time in the day and so much energy, and even kind of sometimes you have compassion that it just has a limit because we're not Jesus. And so yeah, I would say you love the neighbors that are around you as much as you can, and that is who your neighbor is. I think I kind of expanded a little bit more than they asked, but
No, it wasn't like a textbook answer, you know.
okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's just, yeah, and it's just kind of what you're saying is the interaction with other people, and just find out. The purpose of the show is that for other people to kind of understand where other people are coming from, and so that they can understand where other people are coming from, and so
Yeah.
and types of people volunteer or whatever, and it's basically the part where Jesus said it's showing mercy to people that are in need. That's your
Yeah.
neighbor, and
Yeah.
or which, like you said, it was pretty well stated. Anyone that you interact with is your neighbor. And yeah, it's not so much, it's good to know your next door neighbor, but
Yes.
Yeah.
Your
But it's not
actual
always-
physical neighbors, but not just
Yeah.
them.
But yeah, it's just people you encounter and how you treat them, and if they're in need, if you could help them out or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I heard a kind of interesting one. The guy stated it's more like the persons that are in need is the neighbor, and where we do come across a lot of homeless people that they have signs and stuff, but a lot of them,
Exactly.
they're taking care of themselves though, and they have like more resources, as so sometimes they're neighbors and God leads you to interact with them to help them out. That's one thing. But also, it's not just limited to them. There's more people out there that need help in different ways and different things.
For sure.
And so,
I think
Yeah.
even if you're looking, even if we're looking like we got it all together, I know I definitely have days when I am in deep need of someone to be merciful to me.
Speaking of that, so what's it like in your daily life? Kind of your routine is to some degree.
Yeah, I mean,
As a
I'm in
college student.
Yeah, I'm in the college life. I feel like there's a lot of. It used to. I mean, earlier in college, there was a lot of free time and a lot of just random things that I would do. I would go ride my longboard down the street, or go run to a river and put my feet in. Just some fun things to do, which I still can do that now. But yeah, right now I've got a little more commitment. So I work part-time at a physical therapy office as a physical therapy technician. And so I do that 4 days out of the week. And I do it Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I start at 8 a.m. So I try to try to wake up around 6:30 or so, and depending on the morning, I try to read my Bible or pray a little bit if I can wake up. Sometimes it's a little bit of sleeping, a little bit of praying, mixture of both. But yeah, I try to get to work early. Ends up, I'm still working on my punctuality, so get there around 8, and I'll work until about 1 o'clock on Monday and Wednesday, and then I have a class at 1:30, and I'm taking a class called biomechanics. That is pretty tough. It's like a physics class mixed with an exercise class. So it's like the study of how your body moves through your different joints and ranges of motion. And so yeah, that's one where I get right after work. I'll go to that one, and then I have typically that's my last class on those days, and Tuesdays look different because I don't work, but excuse me, sometimes I'll go to a prayer meeting around 8:30. I'm a part of the club, this club called InterVarsity, right. And we've been blessed to be able to hold prayer meeting. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. We hold prayer meetings at my friend Matt's house. He lives right at the end of the campus, and so that's been really sweet. We just go in there and hang out, and we read a psalm or something, and then we just pray for each other or for ourselves, for other students. And then we've been doing this thing on Tuesdays where we go in the cafeterias and we do lunchtime evangelism, where you get some food. Most of the time it's Chick-fil-A, and then you go and you find someone that's so in the cafeterias, a lot of people will get in these booths where it can fit probably 4 or 6 people if you squish, but it'll just be one person with their food and their setup, and it's kind of just a lot of isolation that happens even just in everyday life, and it's kind of normal, but we use that opportunity to go and just sit down across from somebody and start a conversation, and kind of like this, where you just getting to know someone with a different background and hearing their story, and just hoping for the chance that they would ask you about what you believe, and you get to share Jesus with them. So that's been fun. And then
It's kind of funny.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mentioned you do these Tuesday evangelism things, mm-hmm. And have you came across there was a group of old men that they do evangelism out in the quad?
Yes. Yeah, Gary and Rick and Joe, sometimes Mary is out there. Yeah, all the people from our church. Yeah, it's great. It's an evangelistic day. The college definitely is definitely some Christian witness happening on the campus. So it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, Joe's a really great guy for insight when it comes to the Bible and stuff, and I think there's like only 2 words in this whole Bible that's not highlighted.
The whole thing's important.
Yeah. It's just so many years of evangelism, and just knows it so well and inside out. Yeah. And Pastor Rick, he was a guy who was full of wisdom, and I think the wisest things he ever said and done is that I know that if challenged, he'll he could quote so much scripture, but he never usually quotes scripture. He usually just reads it straight from the Bible, so that it's the it's God's word that's saying it and not him, and that he doesn't make any mistakes, And he was on this local TV show, and he was being interviewed, and I don't remember exactly what the verse was, but for Pastor Rick or any pastor or anyone who's been a Christian more than 2 weeks probably could have quoted it, but he opened up his Bible and he just read straight from there what the quote was, and
was it John 3:16?
It wasn't quite that easy, but it was something. It was just
Okay.
I don't remember what it was, but it was something out of Corinthians or the mission of the church or something. I don't remember, but
Yeah.
he would have known it, and he was outside being interviewed, and he had his Bible with him, and that's the whole thing. And a lot of Christians always try to shoot from the hip, I got this and stuff.
Yeah.
He does too, but he just still likes pointing at the Bible, and so it's not him saying it; it's God's word saying it.
Yeah.
And then you
That's
could
good.
say, "Oh, here, read it for yourself."
Right. Yeah, it's not like I'm just telling you this, but this is what God has said.
Yeah. So,
That's a great thing.
and I've seen his son do the same thing.
Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And he did the same thing, and so but like I said, Rick was full of wisdom, and he always knew the right things to say, and you could tell him like the most embarrassing thing that and I want you to pray about this, but I want the whole church to pray about this, and you're like going, okay, all right, this is embarrassing, and he'll repeat it in such a way that it's like no big deal. He's kind of like a wordsmith, or he just knew how to phrase stuff that wasn't quite as embarrassing as the way you explained it to him. He's able to rephrase it, so it's just really neat. It's just, but you can see how his heart.
Yeah. He just wanted to be gentle. It seems like a humble, gentle guy.
Yeah, and so it's like,
Kind.
all right, I surrendered this. I'll take the embarrassment, and then it wasn't so bad when you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Good said the way I said it, and I was already prepared for that.
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm gonna have to go in a little bit.
Okay.
My phone's on 10%.
All right.
Probably a little less now.
Just probably 2 questions.
Okay.
And the first one would be, so are you going for a profession of being a physical therapist, or are you just doing it for college and experience?
Good question. I am exploring it right now while I'm working there. I'm asking a lot of questions of the physical therapy, the PTs there, and my college aim initially was to do physical therapy. I never really had a goal before that, but I saw physical therapy as a really good career option. Right now, it's a little different. I think I might try to get a job within the career, but a lot of the times, the main physical therapist that you see when you go is actually a doctor. So they've done 3 years of doctorate school after their bachelor's degree, and I don't want to do that. I don't think that would be a good investment for me.
Right.
So I think I might maybe do something that's not a doctor in that field, or just take the experience and glean what I can from it, and then use it in some other career, which I'm not too sure of yet.
They could always use it out there in the mission field. Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's actually a big thing on my mind right now. Is maybe doing that.
And the other one, you could kind of choose how to answer it, of course, you always can choose how to answer anything, but what advice or would you either give to incoming college students, or just something, or life advice, or hack or whatever, so you could just kind of answer that in any way that you want to, or all three, or whatever, however you want to answer it.
Mm-hmm. Use this time to find out what really matters. That is what I would say, because I think a lot of times in college we have some people may have really strong opinions of what matters, or they may have heard it from their parents or other people. But college is a time where you can really gather this information from your own perspective. And I would say be careful also of who you're getting your information from. And I'm a Christian, so I'm gonna tell you, and I believe it's true, that it's God who really matters. And it's what He wants for your life, which is the way that you should take your life. But if that's not something that you hold right, if that's not an idea that you agree with right now, then I would tell you to search for it. Search for what matters, and live in accordance with that, because life is too short to live it for things that don't matter.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Good answer.
Thanks, man.
Hey, DeAngelo, thank you for coming on and sharing your story with us. Just really appreciate it, and you have a good day.
Thank you, LJ. I appreciate this, and I had a great time. So, yeah, have a great day as well.
Thank you for listening and downloading. Please like, follow, comment, rate, and share the show. Don't forget social media to support the show. Use the handle on Twitter and Instagram at LJTrekker. That's ELJAYTREKKER.